And we are live. Thank you everybody for showing up today. We will be starting the stream shortly. And we are live. Let's go, baby. Hello, connoisseurs of fine common cardboard. My name's PapaPauper. I got my main man Clay with me here today. How's everybody doing in chat? Let me know with a thumbs up if the audio's coming through clear, the music's not too loud, everything is Gucci Bagel. Let me know. Glad to have you all here today. Hey, Gator Bait with that fat first. That's what's up, baby. We'd love to see it. And Islane, what's up, Denny's? We know we love to see it. Glad to have you all here. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be doing a little deep dive into the metadata tracking project that we've got here for cPDH. And all sorts of other shenanigans. We'll probably answer a bunch of questions, hang out with you all. We're going to be doing these monthly. So Clay and I will be getting together to chit chat about the data, what sort of changes might be happening in the future. We may be able to communicate a little bit about month-to-month changes, new decks that we're seeing in the format that we're excited about, and yeah, should be a grand old time. So, all right. doing a little last minute touch up here. Clay's getting a couple of things worked out on his end, and then we'll be ready to go. Clay looks like he's losing at a video game.
Okay, so
Clay was on his grind set there. He's number crunching right now, so he's working on some formulas. No, that's his sexy military face. Yeah, Gator knows what's up. Yeah, Jesus. So we are all. Yeah, you can see my man's in the zone here. I just introduced folks to what we're going to be doing today and to the monthly metadata tracking project that we're going to be reporting on, the potential of being able to track data changes month to month, and generally that they can kind of chat with us and ask questions wherever they like, and we can kind of take this in any direction that they're interested in.
So what I was trying to do, so what I was trying to do, I suppose I should bring up the YouTube feed so I can see the commentary. But while I'm doing that, I can explain what I was trying to do. Was I went through and I got all of the data for the months, because we've been we've been tracking just cumulatively over time all of the results, and we started segregating out specific months, like to capture data within the months. Well, I was trying to make good on some analysis on the individual months, and the goal, what I was trying to do, like right off the bat, was figure out the story, the tale behind our archetype journey. So whether or not we were playing more combo in June or sort of thing. And I couldn't get the because I spend like all of the functions that go into the backside of this data, this metagame data. I spend hours, because I'm not naturally good at Excel, so I spend hours going over this and trying to find the best formulation to make this kind of work. And
what you can see, folks, is that this metadata tracking project is the work of a lot of hands. We've got Jonathan, XRLY, and Clay, and myself, and several other people, not only like adding the games to the metadata tracking sheet that are played, but also there's just the formulation of the stuff itself. Everything from the charts and the graphs here, so lovingly created. You can see it's taking a moment to update, but talking about the player win order, the archetype representation in the meta, the archetype win percentage in the meta, a number of turns per game, tracking that over time as the number of turns per game has gone down, and then also looking at what commanders are being played and how much they're winning. So this is a labor of love, and it is tough stuff. And a lot of these things too, just like it is with streaming, we are constantly teaching ourselves how to do this, but I think that the outcome of it is ultimately really good for the community, as they get to sort of track this stuff over time. And and I know for me personally, the thing that I find most interesting and valuable about the metadata tracking project is that it simply tells us that there is a wide array of options to play in whatever archetype you want to play in cPDH. And so when somebody comes in and they have a vision around the kind of, or a preference around what kind of archetype they want to play, it's great to be able to point to this and say, look, you can play whatever you want. Whatever kind of floats your boat. If you want to be playing, pure combo, if you want to do some sort of turbo combo, if you're looking for something that's a bit more stacks or, control, then those things are all options that we have available to us in this format. And I think that creates a wide appeal for the format itself. So
I'll bring the data over here to this monitor, so that way, as I'm screaming at it, I can at least be, instead of looking this way, I can be looking
that
this
works.
way.
So one thing you'll notice here for folks that are on the stream is that there are these big black lines, and they happen about every 30 to 40 games. And what that is that's the month marker. So what that's telling us is that that's the break point for that month. And you can see that for one thing, we're getting about 30 plus games in every month. Now, I think we have a measurement on that. Was it under player seed analysis, or is it under Commander Arc? Let's see.
For how many games per month? How many games
per month? I think it ends up, I think we just did this math last time. It averages to a little over one a day. And currently we are approaching 200 games. And actually, I kind of forgot to record one of the games that was played today with
for shame.
Yeah, for shame, indeed. So we'll just get that right in here. We had a Malcolm Breaches combo, Rasad Dungeon Delver Midrange. We had a Mayhem Devil. That was great to see. Mayhem Devil doing its thing. And Lagrella. So holy smokes, like if you're looking to be in an environment where players are really actually, so this is combo mid-range, where people are really like pushing the format. This is where it's happening. This is there's so much cool stuff happening right here. Rasad Delver in particular, I'm not exactly sure what that entails. Rasad is the commander that it's Doran the Siege Tower in white. There's some flavor text around the initiative, which I'm sure actually matters in this format, because if you just gain the initiative from somebody else, then you can start to double the toughness on all of your stuff. So that seems good. So Lagrella was, let's see, Lagrella was combo mid-range. Yeah. There we go. And so yeah, this is how we're doing it. You know, we're basically like live updating all this stuff. One for all MTG. Yeah, Bushi dub. That's right. Is this Taco Man Stan? Has Taco Man Stan entered the chat? I'm sensing strong mono white chat vibes right now. And yes, it is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what he's referring to is actually, let's see. I need to open up a Scryfall search here. And so it's Bushi, the
flip,
Bushi Tenderfoot, which still not exactly certain what's going on here, but it's a cheap commander that eventually flips into a double strike Bushido 2. So it's hard to block, and it claps cheeks, and it's in colors that protect. I died to this commander during the game prior, and yeah, it just kind of went a little wider than I was able to handle. Some pretty hot draws, an Anthem, protection spell. Yeah, just kind of went hard, and I died to it. I was playing Sailor's Bane. It actually kind of revealed one of the key weaknesses that I've been talking about with Sailor's Bane, and the motivation for building it in more of a mid-range build is that decks that can go wide can really punish the Sailor's Bane for not really having a whole lot of like roadblocks or speed bumps. Basically creatures that you can play out, they draw you a card, and then they eat some damage, or they disincentivize attacking because you just won't get any damage in. So yeah, we got a dub for Bushi, and that is represented right here. Bushi played twice, 50% win rate. Just quit playing it now, and it'll just stay high, and then we'll know that it's a real meta deck. We got the Possibility Storm saying that's Taco. Indeed. Taco's also been looking at Palace Jailer, which many of you Legacy enjoyers will know this card. I think I spelled that wrong. That is Jailer, because I can't spell. Palace Jailer, Monarch, you're going to exile a creature until that opponent becomes the Monarch. So, I mean, this seems like in 1v1 it would be really, really gross. And perhaps in multiplayer too, you just got to make sure that player never gets the Monarch back, and then they never get their creature. Some card advantage in white. But yeah, so Clay, was there? What were you wanting to look at today with the metadata tracking project?
So I was because I'm so committed to this monthly deal, I'm actually going through and arranging it to where I can count it by hand. So I can live report as we're counting let's see. So I got column B, C, D. So that would be C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay. As soon as I get my columns correctly. So yeah, I want to count like by hand. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So it's nice. It's going to be quick. So let's see. Okay, so looking at the month of July, we had 1, 2. So this is the problem. I won't be able to do any carry-on statistical analysis of it. But we had 11 aggro decks played in the month of July.
Yeah, so it would have been, so if we go aggro, we can see in July here that we had Zada, we had Sky Knight Vanguard, which was doing a surprising amount of work. Sir Conrad, so this would have been a Rat King version of Sir Conrad.
Well, don't get to the combo. Yeah, you're getting ahead of me.
Oh no.
So
This is listed.
Look in the winners.
This is listed as aggro. So I'm just pointing out what decks were being played.
Right. So as I'm aggregating it, it's listed just as aggro. The aggro combo, the aggro Voltron, the other aggro possibilities are listed individually, and it'll be the same for mid-range and all that stuff.
We've
so
got
like the straight aggro decks. There was 11.
Okay.
And out of the 11, you can take a look at the winner column to your right there, and you can probably count.
We can see that there was a lot of wins. So there were approximately 30 games played, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aggro sub or main archetype decks that
now,
placed wins.
If you want me to count all of the aggro, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, wait. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's 20 total aggro hyphen whatever decks played. So not Voltron.
Yeah,
not
specifically
mid-range.
We should mention that Voltron we consider a separate archetype because Voltron implies really different deck building constraints. So those two are, even though Voltron does sort of imply a subsect of an aggressive deck, right? Because you're making your commander really big, but they're not always aggressive. Like Crackling Drake is a Voltron deck in the sense that its commander is going to be its only win condition for the most part, unless you are playing some sort of other combo variant. So it looks like you had 8 winners, and we had, how many were played?
20.
So there were
8
8 of 20. So, okay, so that comes out to be...
and this makes sense because we even called this out.
The 40% remember, win rate.
We even called this out at the beginning of the summer, and it made such news that the Hex Triggers and other content creators started putting. It was almost, nobody said the summer of aggro, but it was like, that was the shift in the meta that everybody was like, hey, aggro's a thing. So it makes sense in retrospect now that I'm thinking about it, that aggro would have dominated in the month of July. So now I gotta the good news.
So what we can say is this had a disproportionately high win rate during that time, probably preying on the fact that a lot of these combo decks have still been slow to adapt to the changing meta conditions, the better representation of different archetypes and strategies, and kind of the diversification of what's possible. So we see in July here, we had the new gut decks were running rampant. I mean, we have so many guts in July here. I mean, gut was half of those wins, almost half. In fact, actually, no, even more clear. Gut was 3 of the 8 wins, and it was 3 of the 20 games, or 3 of the 20 aggro decks. So yeah, Gut doing a ton of work. I think Gut came out really hot and heavy, just being able to apply so much pressure with an evasive creature on turn 3, repeatedly creating them. Iron Throne perhaps getting new triggers, or the Feywild Visitor creating evasive attackers. We have a question here from John Einfalt. What are your thoughts on third path iconoclast for a possible cPDH commander? Well, Josh, we actually did a stream on this, but we had a catastrophic stream failure. I had some issue with bitrate where even after resetting my router, updating my computer, my software, all this stuff, it was incredibly hard to watch. And so I shut down the stream for the sake of the viewers. It was not good content, but it was a really cool deck to work on. We can pull up kind of my version of this and kind of take a look at that. It's a great commander. Let me just say for cPDH, Gut is exceptionally powerful. The power of Gut is that it can be played in so many different ways. If you wanted to do Banishing Knack, if you wanted to do, Drake combo, if you wanted to do like High Tide, Ghostly Flicker, Snap Archaeomancer, like it can pack any combo in blue. But alternatively, there's these very fair versions of it that are either like aggro, mid-range, or control. If you're playing control, you just have all these bodies that can step in front of attackers. You can claim the monarch and the initiative. You can rebuild your board very quickly. If you're mid-range and aggro, then you have the ability to like really rapidly close life totals with either the pingers or with trumpet blast effects like volatile claws. And it's very good. It is going to be a top-notch option for cPDH. There's even people playing third path iconoclast in like Legacy, and it's incredible. Having that effect in the command zone is so strong. It's making artifacts, which means you do all the affinity bullshit. It's just there's so much going on that card that is better than Young Pyromancer. Upgrading from Young Pyromancer, both with a second color, being non-creature instead of instants and sorceries, making artifact creature tokens. They're also soldier creature types, so you can do tribal stuff basically. It's a dumb commander. Yeah, John says that's super cool. That's a flexible commander. Absolutely. And one thing too is that I think a lot about League play, because League is probably my favorite format of cPDH, like over anything. League play where you have multiple choices of commanders. So you have 3 commanders in your roster, and then the deck can change in between games. So that means that the contents of your deck, as long as your commander stays the same, can change, and it's not open information. So that means that you can be playing third path iconoclast, and it's kind of like very dynamic. You could have that deck in your pool and decide to play, say you're it allows you to be dynamic with what you think other people are going to play. So if you think they're going to play something where being a more controlling version of it, that would have a hard time, or more controlling version of it that would really contain the combo decks, you could do that. Or if you really wanted to like turbo out a combo and do it with the ability to hedge against aggro by building a board, that's also really good. So a lot to be said about third path, it's yet to be seen like which of those is going to be kind of the preferred version. I won't say the best, because I think there's a lot of good versions of it. The way I'm building it is with a control, a mid-range build in mind, which is going to surprise literally no one. Nobody ever. So let me pull this up here while you crunch numbers there. Okay, so this is not done yet. There's literally a million cards you could play in this deck, and let's see, switch over to this, and we'll go Boxfield deck list. We'll go third path like this. Okay, so visual grid is always so annoying. Visual stacks is what we want. Okay, so this build of third path is going to have some familiar elements to people. The pingers are really, really, really strong in this deck, and we get 7 of them. That's so much. Witty Roastmaster, Ingenious Artillerist, Reckless Fireweaver. These are all going to trigger when we get, and Impact Tremors are going to trigger every time we cast a spell with third path iconoclast on the field, we're going to make a token and it's going to ping the table. And these are going to go hard. Like, if you get 2 of these things out, you're going to end the game really quick. We also have Pesig Flame Breather and Flame Brand Archer, which also basically accomplish the same thing, except that it's triggering off of the cast of the spell, not the ETB of the creature. All right,
so I have some data.
Yeah, so let's we're gonna switch back here to.
So give you a couple of things couple of points if you want to round out July before we get into August. So I'm just doing the big 3. So aggro, combo, mid-range. That includes all amalgamations of said thing. We still do have combo mid-range decks listed.
Let me. Oh, well, that's fine. Combo mid-range is okay.
And then there's some control Voltron.
So let's say I'm gonna write the stuff next to the table. So aggro, Voltron.
Well, I didn't do Voltron individually.
That's fine. We can just go through these one by one. So we had 8 games played. Well, no, it was 20 games played with aggro and 8 wins. Correct?
You're looking at the wins, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll go aggro. And we got Jin Shooting Star saying, just doing dishes and hearing you guys. Well, glad to have you, Jin. You are always a regular on these streams. It's always always a good time having you here. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah. This is your daily doing dishes pep talk cheer. Yeah, you're doing a great job, Jin.
Yeah.
Keep it up, buddy.
It's gonna
be awesome. You're almost done. No, I'm just kidding.
We're gonna what's the word here? Just gonna like serenade you with our sultry voices while you wash dishes. Okay, so I don't know if people are going to be able to see based on the spacing of everything here. It's a little funky. I may need to.
Well, here, write these values down, and that'll allow me to continue on.
Yeah. So we got aggro.
20.
Okay, it's 20 games, 8 wins. Okay.
Yep, and then you got combo, which I don't know what the stats on that is. And this is every aggregation of combo, and then mid-range. And then we can just assume, not that I want to ignore Voltron and that kind of stuff, or control, but like just by focusing on the aggro, combo, and mid-range, we can kind of see where the holes are at, and then it'll allow us to
we can go into some other stuff. Yeah. Okay, so what do you got for numbers here?
For aggro, combo is 71 and mid-range is 37.
So, and these are for the number of games that were played with them?
Representation. Yeah, representation.
Okay. Yeah.
So, out of the month of July, 37 mid-range decks were represented in the meta.
Got it. Do you know if there's so I can actually zoom out of this here a little bit so that folks can see because what I want them to do is for folks to be able to see what I'm looking at here with these numbers down here. Okay, great. So we got 37 games played with mid-range, 71 with combo, 20 with aggro. And then what are our wins? So we've got mid-range in terms of wins in July. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wow. That's heavy. It's pretty good. And then combo. Combo is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So wait, when you were saying representation, this is the number of
combo / whatever decks. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there really were a shitload of combo decks played in that month.
Yeah, so there's 4 decks every time a game is played.
Yep.
Yeah, so 4 times 30 games is 120.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's get some percentages in here. Then we can do equals. I actually can't do this. I can't do Excel right now. It's not how my brain works. So it's 15 divided by 71 is going to be a 21. It's a 21% win rate. We've got mid-range with a So 13 divided by 37 with a 35% win rate. And then we've got Aggro, which had the 40% win rate. Okay. As per its meta share distribution. Yeah. Okay, great. And then what about for control?
I didn't do control or Voltron.
Okay. It should be easy enough to do. Couldn't we just do find and then say find within
Oh, yeah.
a specific range?
Yeah.
So you do a specific range and you go B cell 32 to 67.
Sure.
Actually, it'll allow me to draw it. That's pretty cool. So
yeah,
we'll do this.
Let me do that. Hey, you just
I'm gonna save you some time, my dude. Save you some heartache. Okay, there we go. So then we're looking here and we're saying how many times was control. Oh shoot. So we're looking for here, and then we don't want to replace it. We just want to find how many there were, right?
Yep.
So find, but it doesn't tell me how many there are. That's interesting. You can see that our skills with Excel are anything but sharp.
Amazing.
Yeah. But let's see, we could just do it manually too. So we'll go control. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 22. Okay, 22 control decks. And if we look in the archetype winner, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's really similar to Aggro in terms of win rate. It's going to be near more mid-range levels. So 8 divided by 22 is going to be 36. So yeah, right around there. And then for Voltron, there we go. Go Voltron. And we're going to see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 Voltron deck or representations there. And in the win percentage, we have three wins. So interesting. Not a good time for the Voltron archetype here. So that's a 15, 16%.
It's because the aggro.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Yeah, totally. And the winners, and it's actually the interesting thing is that the winners here are all Voltron control. So really we have a Sidraxa Spectre, Armix Kedis. Is that really oh, it is Voltron control. Wow, that's wild. Huh. Yeah, so here's what we've got here at the bottom. Folks should probably be able to see this here. Maybe I got to turn off those smug avatars of ours. There we go. And then folks can see down at the bottom here, this right here. So, so what we're able to do then is to say in July, the archetypes that were most successful were Aggro, Midrange, and Control. And the archetypes that lost out were Combo and Voltron, particularly Voltron, likely due to the fact that the Voltron decks don't have a plethora of threats, and then they just get clapped on the ground and they end up dying. They can't kill everything. You just can't kill everything. Your kill spells are reserved primarily for key threats, but when people don't really have key threats and they just hit you every turn, it becomes very difficult. That's where the sweepers come in. And then Combo, notoriously lacking in abilities to defend itself, also suffered with a massive 71 iterations played and only 15 wins. So what's interesting is that this is like July, right? So this is only a month after playing with Power. And
no, a year.
Oh, a year. Okay. Oh, wow, a whole year. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, wasn't playing with Power last year? Yeah. So this is a remarkable. It says that this change basically goes back at least to January, in showing that there's an underrepresentation of winners, combo winners, in cPDH. Fascinating. We could probably do the same thing. Oh yeah, you're starting to do that for the other months?
Yep, I figured I'd get ahead of you.
Cool. Bingo. I just duplicated them a couple of times. And then what we can do is let's compare primarily to the most recent complete month, which would be October. So for Aggro, in the future, we'll have some formulas and stuff that'll do this all for us, but we're just going to kind of wing it right now. And I'm sure you guys are enjoying this. So,
this was the plan all along. The next evolution was to look month to month.
7, 8, 9.
Because the narrative that's drawing me to this month to month change is, if you look at the turn order, the turn order is still dropping.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Because you've got decks that apply more pressure on the ground, doing it earlier, right? Like I would say in particular, the initiative producing really, really large creatures that like ETB and like change the texture of the game allows damage to be converted much more quickly. Like I'm thinking about like Passageway Seer, for example, had plenty of games recently where I've got like a 10-10 and it's going to kill very quickly at that point. Or if you just flip like a Rot-Tide Garganta into play or a Bone Picker, you're gonna end the game quick. Pestilence has also been playing a huge role in ending games quicker. And it's been funny, it's been Pestilence mainly, not Crypt Rats, because when you've got a huge creature, you can actually keep Pestilence in play, whereas Crypt Rats is kind of a one and done. And so I think that's been very, very clear to a lot of the players in the tryhard server that Pestilence is perhaps the most powerful card in the entire format right now. So we have 27 aggro decks being represented in October, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. There's only 6 winners there. So 6 divided by 27. So that's a 22% win rate. Fascinating. We'll go Voltron. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have 19 Voltron decks again. And again, we have 4 winners there. So bumped it up a little bit. So that's going to be 4 divided by 19. So a little closer to 25. We got 21. That bumped up to 21%. So interesting. Yeah, Aggro actually most recently in October got kind of clapped. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's so the pendulum is swinging, as it were.
Well, I think what I can see here though is like my Passageway Seer deck. Yeah, did a lot of work. I think it's very difficult for the aggro decks to beat the Passageway Seer deck because you've got the built-in life gain. For those of you who don't know, it's a 3 and a black, ETB, gain the initiative, lifelink 2/2. At the end step, you get a +1/+1 counter. And so the idea is you're just turboing out into initiative on turn 3, and then you've just got a good like mono black mid-range deck. Because Passageway Seer, of all of those, was responsible for, and actually Rilsa is in here too. So, and Rilsa is really the same thing. It's like 5 mana version of it, just has like more closing power and no life gain. So you have to have built-in life gain with like Gary and stuff. So Rilsa, Passageway Seer, Passageway Seer, Passageway, six of the mid-range wins were Passageway. That would have been either me or Nate, combination of the two. I think Nate kind of brought this one in first, and then I followed up and started kind of maining that deck. And so yeah, that would make sense why aggro would have suffered in this particular month. Also see not a ton of Tatiova. Yeah, there's a couple of Tatiova wins here. Okay, so for mid-range, we have, oh my god, so much mid-range in October. 1, 2. Oh my god, there's too many to count, actually. Like, I can't I can't count it all. Interesting, this was an inversion of that, right? Have you counted, Clay, for October?
No, I haven't.
Okay, how many mid-range? Want to take a moment while we're doing this counting here to thank you all for being here, and if you're enjoying the content and you want to see more of it, first start by liking the video and helping support us. We are so close to hitting 900 subscribers, and once we get to there, it's just going to be a hop, skip, and away from 1,000, where Clay and I have some incredible ambition around the things that we want to do for you and for the content we want to make. If you want to see more of it, subscribing is just such a huge help. So take a moment, like the video if you haven't done it so far, and then subscribe if you want to see more.
Righteous. All right, so I got you got the numbers a lot faster. Oh, you just copied.
Yeah, so we don't have this yet.
Which for October.
We don't have that. Yeah.
So I just finished up August. You just did September. All right, so talk about the transition between July, August, and then September. And
so we have a 17% win rate for aggro, 14%. Wow, so Voltron performed even worse in this next one, but mid-range swept up hard. It gained 3 percentage points. Control also went down a little bit. So big winner here was mid-range. I mean, we can see that combo basically stayed virtually the same, 1% delta, going from 21 to 22%. Control lost a few percentage points to, I presume it lost it to mid-range, because the other archetypes all went down too. So Voltron suffered, aggro suffered. That's incredible. So did aggro really only... Man, aggro really underperformed in August. I wonder why that is. There were 29 games with it. So it saw an uptick in play, but a decrease in success.
Well, what does the aggro versus mid-range matchup look like?
I think, in my experience, it's not good for the aggro player. A control deck needs to... Versus a control deck. So really, like, aggro, mid-range, and control are archetypes that sit on a spectrum in a lot of ways of the aggressiveness in which with which you're doing things and the size of the spells you're probably casting. So like aggro and mid-range are very close to each other, except that mid-range is going to be deploying maybe bigger or meaningful, more splashy, more impactful threats. And they're going to be looking to have more mana, so there's going to be more mana rocks, there's going to be bigger sources of draw, there's going to be sweepers, perhaps some tutors. You're going to have bigger value plays, whereas an aggro deck is going to be leaning more into closing the game out in with its tempo, essentially, of basically killing the player before they're able to demonstrate that power advantage in the late game. Kill them before they can get those things set up, make them use their mana inefficiently, force them to answer what you're doing. And so when an aggro deck goes up against a mid-range deck, I think it has trouble, because a mid-range deck is not as slow as a combo deck, and you have meaningful threats that you can put out, and it's hard to get through them because they tend to be kind of bigger than the aggro threats, right? So if you're playing aggro and you have, you know, these cheaper creatures like Spirited Companions and, you know, Heliod's Pilgrims and all this other stuff that you're deploying, or tokens, it's just going to be harder to get through a mid-range deck, because there are many ways, like a control deck, that actually has a board presence and has sweepers and has removal and all that. They're able to interact with you in a reactive way. So mid-range is often defined as a deck that can pivot easily between control and aggro. It doesn't mean they aggro as well as aggro does, and they don't control as good as control does. But I think that mid-range decks are going to tend to prey on aggro decks. And so I think that's what we see here. Aggro, 17% win rate, compared to a mid-range win rate of 38%, which mid-range didn't gain that much. It went up 3%, but really, like, the story is told by the fact that every other archetype went down in its win percentage between July and August. Every archetype went down except for Combo went up 1%. It basically stayed the same, and that's really interesting. That is I'm excited to see this. I love playing mid-range, and I think it's a really powerfully positioned archetype in the format right now. And it's great to see that it is thriving and living its best life. Are you on to September, Clay?
I'm almost done with October. I thought you did September.
Nope. This is just another duplicate.
Oh,
that's okay.
Well,
that's fine. No, it's fine. It's okay for us to jump forward. I actually was kind of hoping to jump forward to October mainly, just to see like how these conclusions are tracking over a longer time span. So we'll just go one by. And you've got Aggro done on this one? Oh,
yeah,
it's all done. Okay, great. So we're going to skip past September. Maybe Clay, if you want to fill in some of the gaps there, and then
I'll do that right now.
Cool. So we've got Aggro with 28 games played, 6 wins, 21% win rate. So if we're kind of taking a look at that with, I'm actually just going to copy and paste August, because August seems to be the point where there was like well, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, so if we bring this down here, oh, that's September. So you've already got October. Good. So comparing what we had before, so a 21% win rate for Aggro, which is actually an improvement over where it was in August, but still below its heights in July. So damn, July was like Aggro summer. That's fucking crazy. 40% win rate. That's higher than anything we've seen here so far. So back down to 21% here. Voltron picking up much more steam, going back up to 21% from 14. Mid-range getting leveled off a little bit. 49 decks played with mid-range. So mid-range began to swell in its metagame representation in the month of October, with 49 mid-range decks being played, or mid-range main or sub archetype, and 15 wins, 31%. So it's overperforming for its representation by a delta of 6%. Control suffered. Control 19%. My God, it tanked. And then we have Combo leveling out a little bit more to 24%. So basically a quarter of the games. So like, if we think about every game as being sort of like you have a 1 in 4 chance to win, assuming you are playing a deck that that is intended for competitive Pauper Commander, you have a quarter of a chance to win during this month from Combo, which is really where we should see all of these archetypes, is somewhere around that mid-level percentage there. So yeah, that is really interesting. Really interesting stuff there. And then I'll go one at a time through some of the stuff that you're updating there, Clay. So and in September, leading up to October, we had another.
You could add in
spike.
Yeah, you could add in the wins for, because these percentages are wrong.
Okay, I see. Got it. So the wins is what we need.
If you
so
want
we'll
to
go
add in the
Aggro.
Wins, yeah. Okay, so.
Yep. Okay, this makes more sense now. Yeah. Oh, man. Voltron and Aggro got absolutely bitch slapped in September. Holy smokes. Ugh. And then mid-range, dude. Okay. Yeah. Mid-range cleaned up shop. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got control. 1, 2. Okay. There we go. So, wow. All right, so this all kind of tracks. We have mid-range going from July, 35%, 38%, 42%, and then 31% over time. So what we're seeing is that mid-range is just generally like overperforming in the meta. And just to be clear, like we identified this pattern early on, right, Clay? Like we were looking at the archetype representation, seeing that mid-range was represented, pure mid-range was represented at 22% of the games played, but that it was like, gobbling up. It ended up being like a delta of like 8 or 10%.
Well, the two overperformers for the aggregate, the complete aggregate of the data, were both aggro and mid-range.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. Which is really interesting, because like the threats in cPDH are not, or really a common rarity, are not fantastic. One of the defining characteristics of a commons-only format like this is that your threats are bad, quote unquote. I'll just use that hyperbolically, and your answers are really good. You've got cards like, Owlbear, 5 mana, 4/4 trample that draws a card up against Terminate. And it's like, okay, my Terminate costs 2 mana, your Owlbear costs 4. Yeah, you drew a card, but like ultimately, the comparison there is really clear. You've got cards like Snuff Out that can do it at instant speed for no mana. And so that's really interesting that aggro and mid-range are doing that. In a sense, I think that the aggro decks have been powered up by a lot of the innovation that folks have been doing around that. We can name a couple of names here. I know that Nate and Nate Diggity, Matt Edwards, and Gatorbait have all been doing work on Amber as well as Gut decks. Amber Veteran, Gut paired with Inspiring Leader. All of these are really interesting options that have come out in the sort of aggro space. Some of the other aggro decks, let's look up and see which kind of things we had represented here.
I was just checking out an interesting metric. So for each month, combo is represented at either 21 or 24%. So pretty consistently, you're going to have at least one combo deck per pod.
Interesting.
If we extend that out into, if we do the hypergeometric calculator and extend that out to an infinity, at least one deck in a pod is going to be combo.
Yeah, which makes sense. That's like what you would expect.
Which is the battle box, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like a battle box would have like a combo deck or two. Maybe some blend, like a Malcolm Breaches deck, which is a mid-range combo deck. And then you're going to have. It looks like
you'll always have. Yeah, you'll always have a mid-range deck.
Yes.
Yes. 31, 42. Yeah.
Mid-range for life, baby.
In this house, we'll always have a mid-range deck at the table.
Yes.
Sometimes too, like when you're looking at an aggregate of like 38%, when you're looking at something that's that high above 25%, it's probably likely a good percentage of the time you're going to have at least two mid-range decks. So for all you meta gamers out there that are looking to outshine a mid-range, this is what you got to do. Why is there a red square right there?
I added that because this one had Aggro Voltron written in it.
Oh yeah, I need to look through a different
I added that red square just so that we could figure out what deck that was. But I was looking at aggro decks in September and seeing what we had. We had Dargo Ketis, Zada, Gut Cloakwood Hermit. We had Rasad Swordcoast Sailor, Aaron. What's Aaron?
Aaron or Aaroness?
Aron. Benalia's Ruin? Jesus Christ. Why don't I... That's kind of a scary commander. 2 and a white. We can switch over here and do the deck tech. Oh no, let's see. No, we go to Scryfall. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Sack a creature,
3/3
put a
Menacer.
+1/+1 counter. 3/3 Menacer. Oh, it's interesting.
Oh, that's it costs 3 as well.
Yeah, it's not bad.
The whole tap thing.
The
If it
tap
was
thing
just,
is a bit of a bummer, but could you imagine this if it weren't? Like, like that would be very broken, very scary. Like, do you have Pestilence? Do you have Swirling Sandstorm? Like, asks that question like very soon after it lands on the battlefield. Okay, so Aaron, we had, and that was actually played several times. Arcbound Shikari, more Rasad. We had a Legamos aggro combo build. We had Ernest Street Urchin. I remember this was our patron Noyark here was on Ernest Street Urchin. Aggro control. So that's not really an archetype definition we use. That is mid-range. So we're actually going to fix this up here. This is going to mess with our numbers, but aggro control replaced with mid-range. And this is just
the record. And for the record, we for you folks out there, we try to do a good job of like combing through this, but after a while, it becomes large.
Yeah, it does. And just to clarify why we don't have aggro control is because that is mid-range. Mid-range has elements of control in it, and it has more aggressive elements in it, you know? Like you might have a mid-range deck like Mayhem Devil that has a boarding party in it. That is a very aggressive card, but it's also, you know, has like removal in the command zone, like, you know, 4 sweepers, 13 removal spells, and like 5 edicts.
I'm gonna see if I can find that game 108 information. I've got historical copies back a month or two.
Okay, great. Cool. Well, just want to take a brief moment again to thank everyone who is here today for joining us in this video. And if you would, please take a moment to click the like button, support what we're doing here. If you want to see more of this content, subscribe. I see we have 0 likes on the videos right now. We've got a bunch of people who've been sitting in chat. So just take a moment to do that. Just a happy reminder to let us know that you're liking the content and support what we're doing.
Bad news bears.
What's that?
Let me see if I can find my oldest.
Oh, for that video? Yeah. So yeah, this is some of the stuff we're looking at here. I'm going to switch us over to the charts and graphs section and talk about some of the winning commanders and some of the standouts lately that we've had. What we're looking for here, these orange bars are going to tell us what we're essentially how many games have been played. And then the number at the end is going to tell us the win percentage. So when you see a big yellow bar, it means somebody or lots of people are playing a lot of that deck. And that's where we really start to be able to take more at face value the quality of the deck in the particular archetype that we're or in the particular context of the meta that we're in. We have Black Grimoire saying, "Keep doing the things you're doing." Thank you so much. I really appreciate that support. We always love to get the that verbal positive reinforcement. That's always great to hear. Decks that have been played a ton. We have Dargo Kesket coming in here with some of the most games being played. Dargo Kesket is the brainchild of Jonathan, or XYRL. Guys, got to change that name. It's impossible to quote him. But yeah, we've got 27% win rate on that. So kind of where we would expect a deck to be is around that 25% mark if it's a reasonable pick for the meta. We've got Dargo Ketis, incredibly aggressive option that has had a lot of games. This has been piloted by Gatorbait. Yeah, Gatorbait TV, one of the mods on the Tryhards, who's been running this deck. Goblin token makers. It's got direct damage spells, it's got anthems, and it hits hard and it keeps hitting. It's got a 31% win rate.
We might have to delete that game 108 line.
Oh, really?
Because the closest I have is game 107, so like right above it.
No.
And then right after that is like 10 more games, and then it had the mistake in there. So it's almost like the mistake was typed in at the time. We can kind of go back and we can either try to find who played this game.
I wonder if we'd be able to find it in one of our other metadata streams. Like if it was typed over, like we might actually be able to go back and look and see if we ever scroll over that game and see if it was found. So some other decks I'd like to mention here. We've got Malcolm Breaches getting a lot of games played and a big win percent, 38% win rate out of how many games? We have 16 games played with this one so far. I love this deck. I was a big advocate for Breaches, switching in for Ketis for a long time, and I think that while I don't play the deck myself, it always felt like Breaches was just such an amazing value engine. I mean, you can compare it in some ways to like Amber, you know, where Amber is like drawing 3 cards a turn, but the difference is that you don't have to discard your hand, and you're getting other people's cards. So,
are you looking at new additions to this list?
Just looking at standouts that we've had, things that have performed well. I don't know if we'd be able to see new ones, right? We've got, and I don't really want to look at the win percentage of. So
Warden.
Warden. Yeah, you got a win with that one today? I think I was on.
Or the other day, yeah.
Yep, so Warden of the Eye is not showing up here. Oh, there it is. With 100% win rate, of course.
Just one game. No.
Look at this one, though. Spitmare.
Oh, yes. The old Spite.
So, my experience with this deck, this is another creation of one of our prolific deck builders, Nate Diggity. And Spitmare uses a combo. So it's a combo control deck. Spitmare basically has it's the same as it's the other Mardu one that when it takes damage, it deals damage to things. Mm-hmm. So when it takes damage, you deal damage. If you pair that with Guilty Conscience, a 1-mana tutorable aura, whenever that creature deals damage, then Guilty Conscience deals damage to that enchanted creature. So all you need is for that creature to either deal, all you need is Spitmare to deal or receive damage to start the loop. And once it starts looping, it's infinite. So that could be like bolting your own Spitmare with some sort of indestructibility. So you go Spitmare, Guilty Conscience, some form of indestructibility. It can't be protection because it has to be able to take the like be targetable by the damage and not die. And then you just win the game. And of course, with Guilty Conscience, you can tutor up with Shrine Steward, with a Totem Guide Heartbeast, which I just want to say is a really funny card because it is spelled wrong in so many ways. Totem Guide Heart, Hart, Beast, Bee, Beast. It's like me when I was a kid. Beast. Totem Guide Heart Beast tutors up an aura. Shrine Steward does the same. Heliod's Pilgrim does the same. And then it's just packed with removal. It has like 18 burn spells or something stupid. So
let's, when you're ready, let's flip over to the Color Combos Winner tab.
Combos Winner. There we go.
Tab number 2, and if I recall correctly, this is a tab that Puzzle updates.
Okay.
Our illustrious local budget cEDH playing with a cPDH deck winner, the king for the moment. I'm going to tout his name until somebody else wins. So if you scroll over to the right and focus on the top of columns NOPQRS. You scroll the bar. There you go. That way everybody can see. Keep going. There you go.
That's as far as I can go over. Okay. So.
That's. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah. You just got stream delay. Okay. So we've got individual colors. win rates
Yep.
per game played, wins with the color
Where the
involved.
color is involved, win rate with the color involved.
Got it. Number of decks
Number
played.
of decks played. Yep.
Okay.
Percentage of games played.
I'm most interested in this line right here. Look at that. 51% win rate with black involved. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, so well, that's the thing. Like you went right to the you have a habit of spoiling, not the surprise, but like you have a habit of just like going to the punchline. There you go. So no, that's incorrect. Some would say contemporarily, now, historically, all that stuff. Some would say that you wouldn't be playing cPDH unless you were playing blue.
Yeah.
So looking at blue and its representation, so it has a win rate per games played of 21%, with a total of 75 wins and a 40% win rate by color involved. So it's hard to know when this. I think blue is like adequately represented. In fact, I think
for how good it is, right? It makes sense that it's, being played and winning at that rate.
Right, but what I'm extremely surprised at is it's not first, it's not even second in wins color involved. It's actually in the middle.
It's third by win rate.
So what I was looking at, so third by win rate and third by color wins color number.
And it's also
wins,
number
color.
one for percentage of games played.
So people are using this. The reason why I was looking at this specifically for blue, what this is telling me is that people aren't using blue as a win condition. They're using it as a support.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or that's what it's informing me. Now, granted, a lot of your combo cards are in blue too, so like your flickers and that sort of thing. So not negating their contribution.
Dude.
But still.
Or green. Holy Moses, dude. Luckily, it's actually, well, it's funny. Its win rate is still lower than its number of games played. So,
well, when you think of aggro, and when you think of 100 card singleton aggro, let me put a little stipulation on that because I know pauper exists, 60 card pauper exists. But when you look at 100 card singleton formats, what is green doing in that, especially when our meta consists of, aggro, control, mid-range, that's three archetypes that green is not really central to. Not that I suppose you could have some big green.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's doing like a Golgari mid-range yet.
And it's not that they can't, it's just that they aren't. And I must admit, there are a couple of commanders that, if they were played more, would increase that rate significantly. If people were playing with like Huatli, for example, Huatli Sun's Heart, the Planeswalker, which we allow in our meta, is for people to explore with those things. If people were playing with Kiora, same thing. These are two commanders that would dramatically increase the green win rate because they're just gross. They're really, really, really good. And there's more too. Like I know I haven't been representing Witherbloom a ton lately. I've been playing other black decks. Other green decks would be like Gretchen Titchwillow. I expect that to start to increase the green win rate. That's the deck that Puzzlebox, our admin at the Tryhards, Puzzlebox just won the CBB 100 cEDH Budget Brews tournament 3 days ago. And it was with a PDH deck that wouldn't be PDH legal because it had Rhystic Study and Mystic Remora. But when we interviewed him, he said that those cards played zero role in him winning, and that the one time he drew Mystic Remora, it drew him 4 cards, but he already had the combo in hand. So basically, he had a cPDH legal deck that he won with, And I think, and he claims that Gretchen Titchwillow really is like the top
better
dog.
than Tatiana. No, say it again. Gretchen is better than Tatiova. That's exact. I'm quoting
yes,
Puzzle.
We'll
That's exactly what
Puzzle.
he said.
I won't sanitize it. I will say that I generally try to avoid the better than, because it's really context dependent. But I think he has some really good points.
Okay. So he's a champion of a minor tournament. Who developed a deck.
He knows.
Independently, right? So I mean, it's an expert opinion, right?
I hear it.
No, we are goading. I say better than in an attempt to goad.
Well, you love
my fellow Civic. Yeah,
I love Tatiova.
Yeah.
So that said, there's a lot to be said about Gretchen too, right? It's like 2 mana commander. It's an infinite mana sink. It ramps you. It draws cards. And it's just a 0/4. So in this aggro meta, Gretchen is perhaps one of the better decks you can play, because one of the other
haste. No haste problem.
There's no haste problem. There are cards that if you don't have haste, they are going to just die and do nothing. But it's like it doesn't need those. It can go off with Ouroboros Breeze Caller. It can do a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I was talking about with Puzzle was that Gretchen Titchwillow is also so powerful, in that Gretchen just like really easily eats edicts. If you have like one of these untappers in play and you have Gretchen out and somebody edicts the board, you just sack Gretchen. Like Gretchen literally doesn't matter. Like it's an important thing in the deck because it just gives you so much resilience.
Like Weavers, like Weavers in that regard, you just generate infinite mana and recast. You know,
yep. So I'm looking here.
What I wanted to do. So how far are we? Like how far are we in? I promised about an hour or so.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 10.
So
I did want to mention one other green deck before we go on, and that is Ravenous Squirrel. And Ravenous Squirrel, this card is so scary actually. I have not seen a single player play this in the tryhards. And I will say that Ravenous Squirrel is a ridiculously busted uncommon.
Shout out to
Timmy T1000 in the chat. What's up? Sup, y'all? He says.
Yeah, supporting the budget tournament scene.
We were just talking about it, man.
Yeah, about to have a ladder league kind of deal. I kind of got some a preview of information earlier today. I don't want to be the one to spoil all the deets, but yeah, coming up in December, if you want to play in a budget version of a league, I think it'll only last for 1 month. You'll have to look my man up and sign up.
League play is where it's at. I think league play is so much fun, and it really. I think one of the things we saw in the tournament was that after 12 hours of playing, people's brains were absolute mush, and it just becomes really hard to play optimally when you're playing that long. I've done quite a bit of tournament play.
It was like 13, 14 hours.
Yeah,
not straight. There was little breaks and stuff.
Right.
So
it's a big.
So
day.
what this does is take that experience and
stretch it out over time.
Stretch it out. So one big change. So this will be the one part that I will spoil, since he gave me permission to spoil a bit of it. So in the previous, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. In the previous thing, the snowland count counted against your monetary total. I think count against your monetary total. So whereas in the CBB 100 tournament we just played in, you had to make a choice. Whether or not. So
here, hold on, Clay, real quick. Your signal dropped off there. So you were saying about the snowlands. Do they not contribute to the price anymore?
They do not.
Okay, so that's a big change.
I'm tatering.
Yeah, he's tatering.
But yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so quintessentially, you don't have to make the hard decision of whether or not you want to play snow or not play snow, which was a big consideration. Oh, I am backwards. They will count. I'm sorry. I am a big. Oh, that's right. Because I said it earlier. Because Moxfield took all. Yep, Moxfield took the. It was a bug. Okay.
Okay. Interesting. So it will still include Snowland price.
So you still do have to look at whether or not it's a big decision if you're going to play snow duel or not snow duels. I keep wanting to say duels, snow lands or not snow lands.
Yeah,
because there is a monetary.
And ultimately, that doesn't matter too much. There's going to be cards like Spread that you don't play. For cPDH, you know, if you're bringing a cPDH deck to the cDH tournament or to a league, you're rarely going to hit $100 in your deck. There's very few cards that'll put you over that.
My Tatiova is $92.
And even Tatiova, if you didn't want to play Snowlands, there's lots of other like land tutor cards that you could use to find those duels. It's not really a problem. You like find Rimewood Falls and all that. It's like Into the North versus 3 visits.
Play Snowlands.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. All right, so I just wanted to make this last point about Ravenous Squirrel here. And this is a commander that I really want to see in our local meta. I have a list written up for it. I've played against this deck a lot of times. People in my local meta have played this number of times. We had a person who basically mained this deck, but basically a 1-mana commander that grows itself. It's omnivorous for artifacts and creatures. It gains life and it draws card, all on an activation that doesn't require tapping. Wow. So I think that green is underrepresented, not because it's not good, but because people don't think that it's good and they're not playing it. That's my take. I think that this number right here is representative of this meme that green is not good in cPDH. There are some other colors that we didn't get to talk about. We had red. Red here with a 49% win rate for color involved. And 45% of games played. So overperforming by 5% in its color. A very high win rate of games played. Yeah, dude, Timmy, Ravenous Squirrel is some real shit, okay? Like, I've played against this deck. We've got stuff like Prized Statue, Nimble Right Schematic just got entered. We've got freaking Gilded Pinions. And you don't even...
I have a different answer. So when you say Ravenous Squirrel, like the people looking through, like they're looking at my face and I'm kind of like, so Ravenous Squirrel represents probably a build or an archetype that I'm not that hot on, right? So it's probably some sort of like,
it's a mid-range deck.
Mid-range. Yeah. So what I'm looking at as a combo player, like I've got a tireless tracker list that I've been kind of babying for months. You know, the problem in Monogreen is there's not a whole lot in the way of payoffs. So
for combo, yeah.
For combo. So like I've got things in reserve that I constantly, like every time a set comes out, I'm looking at it going, okay, green, okay, nothing. Dina, nothing. You know, I'm looking at, trying to, so it's probably a little unfair to say that people aren't looking, because there's probably a whole lot.
It's not that they're not looking at, but they're not playing with it. They're not choosing to play.
Right.
Yeah, and but even then, like that, like this is so abysmally low that this says somebody. And I hear people talk about it where they say, "Oh, green isn't good in cPDH." Like, and I gotta say, I fucking hate when people say stuff like that. It's so inaccurate to say that. It means that it hasn't been thoroughly explored. So like having played against this, I know this is disgusting. Also, like my Witherbloom Apprentice deck, when I was actively playing that, was the highest win rate deck I've ever played. It was so atrocious. And then we've also got the Simic, like the powerful Simic decks. So this says that the Simic decks have also dropped off, which is really interesting. That's actually the bigger story here, is that the Simic decks are not being played as much. And that also is a bit of like a funny thing, like people saying like, oh, you can't, like the Simic decks weren't as good anymore, that they just needed to adapt. Gretchen Titchwell is a great example of the simple adaptations you make. You put Moment's Peace and you put Weather the Storm in your deck, and you are ready to go. Like, it's not that hard, right? Like, Tatyova is the same way. You can make small changes to these decks that make them way more resilient to the aggression that we're seeing in the meta through midrange and through aggro.
Tim's got a question. So, is that win rate because you're playing it, or because of the sheer card quality in the card pool versus meta? So, you bring up a good point. We'll always say as a default that the data is telling on us. So it's tattletaling on the things that we're doing. So, you're correct in the fact that there's an element of it not being played. Right. So you're correct. Like, this is what we are doing, what we have actively been doing. This is just reporting on that.
Yeah.
So
right. And this is only a subset of the data, so we do have to treat it with some degree of but
I have a feeling somebody's going to be jamming a whole lot of Tatyova here soon.
Yep. I mean, I want to talk about some of like the really powerful cards in green that are like great reasons to be in it. And one of them is
before you make the pivot, I'm going to go ahead and take my opportunity. Am I asking if it's player skill or actual card quality?
I think it would be actually a different answer. It's not so much player skill or card quality. I think it's perceived quality of the color. Does that make sense to me? Like, I don't think people think it's good. Like blue, like green is a support color in the Simic combo decks.
Yeah.
Right. So I think
that's
part
a ramp color, or a ramp color in Golgari mid-range decks, or it's always a support color. It's never primarily featured really in anything.
Yeah, to your win rate. Oh, so in regards to the win rate, so is that win rate because? Oh, he's asking about Witherbloom Apprentice.
Yes.
But is that win rate because you're playing it, or because of the sheer card quality of the card pool versus the meta? Oh, so okay, let's reassess this, because he's asking about that deck and whether it's me or whether okay, so let's go to Witherbloom Apprentice here.
So I have part of this answer. So Ryan is actually a skilled player, and Witherbloom hasn't. Well, so he'll readily admit that it hadn't been played a lot recently, but at the time it was being played, it was the meta deck. It was the answer to what was being played at the time.
It was ruthless.
Combo players. Yeah, it hit the combo players. It was the right deck at the right time.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
With the right player. So,
yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Generous one at that. I think that so let's look through the other part of this here. The quality of the card pool. So with Witherbloom, with green, some of the cards that are really, really appealing to me in green. Oh, that always come into play.
You're turning. Yeah, let me take the opportunity.
Clay's gonna pivot out.
So what I wanted to cover this for this month's period, we got to cover. I'm so sorry. By the next time we do this, I'm going to have automatic tabulations. I'm going to have something easily represented, put up on cPDH.guide. It's going to be so much easier the next time we do this.
We have been so incredibly busy keeping up with our content.
I got
schedule.
promoted at work.
Clay's got a new job. He's been making improvements around the house. We got like the huge circulation of our DDB selection committee. We've had new sets coming out. It has been an absolute roller coaster. The fact that we're still producing 3 or more videos a week is astounding. And we'll just give ourselves a little clap and a tap on the back here for what we are doing. And in the future, it's all going to be better and better and better. So yeah.
You're doing great, Clay. About that. But yeah, moving forward, we're going to start looking more intently at these month-to-month comparisons, because as we say every single time, this data tells a story about where we've been. It has some predictability if we mirror our history, if we replicate those actions, we can try to use that to predict our future. But there's no real way of knowing what the future is going to look like by using this data. It's just basically tattletaling on us.
Yeah.
So we're gonna continue with these more finite slices of the data to try to get something usable. Like even if it's somebody who wants to do like an anti-data deck, like Green, like he's about to talk with Green, like Green's not being supported. Hey guys, this is a rallying call. Let's play some Green.
Yeah.
Even if it's just that. And the last thing, is the colors.
Yeah.
We always, the easy thing for us to talk about time in and time out is to go to the last tab on here, look at all the pretty graphs and all the colors, and look at the new additions, and we got some overperformers and stuff like that. Once again, that's what we've done and where we've been, and that's like the focal point, or the it serves as like
like an anchor.
Or a pedestal. It's the thing on the pedestal seeking to like Cardoor last month when we were talking about it, that month of control between Cardoor, and that's the thing, at the time you were playing Torowaki as well. So between Cardoor and Torowaki in that month, I mean, you're going to have like an outstanding month of control. So by all means, like we try to provide you all this flashy data and all of that stuff. Like, don't ever, step to somebody and say, hey, try hard, say this, bro. Like,
no, it's not why we're doing this.
Well, I mean, it's right. I mean, sure, you can go, oh yeah, yesterday. Yeah, that was true yesterday.
It was.
But like, but today, what's happening today? So
it'd be very easy to try to predict the future with the past, and that is not a reliable tool.
So I want to thank my buddy Ryan for hosting this thing. He's gonna move on and probably pivot into some deck tech type stuff. Hell, if somebody can get a game going. Big thanks to Tim, who's always been an avid supporter of what we're doing here. I mean, we've had a Decklist database on Budget Brews for over a year now. So no,
over a year. Yeah, it's been
a little over a year.
Yeah, it's been an amazing partnership.
Yeah,
I know, and really to the benefit of both. There's so much. Dude, we got to get you to 1K subs. I know, man. That's when the shit gets fucking fire. That's what we're stoked on. We're gonna get to 1,000 in no time. It's all about these partnerships. I even kind of whispered in the comments section of our latest interview with Puzzlebox that we got to get some cPDH league tournament type stuff with some commentating. Get Puzzle and I in the booth. Man, that shit would be fire. God, that'd be so much fun. So it says, what's your watch hours? So we've still got to get up there on watch hours. We can give you all a little look into that.
Yep. Well,
Clay, you want to take that opportunity to skedoodle?
Yeah, I don't know if your photo is going to jog a little bit when I pull out of this. Booth.
Pull out of this booth. My man. Well, don't worry. I've got the scene change on lockdown. You just let me know, and we'll switch it on over.
All right, Righteous. All right. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Peace out, Clay. Thank you. All right. So it says, what's your watch hours? That's what she said. Yeah, of course. It is indeed. So yeah, watch hours. I mean, I got to admit, I'm flexing a little bit here, but our metrics since we started going live and making content really regularly have been really high. Been big boosts there. So we have another fourth. So we need to get another basically 1,400 public watch hours before we can get there, and 1,000 subscribers, and we'll be there. The monetization part of it, but really the thing that we want to do is we have a Patreon, and we want to integrate our Patreon with YouTube by going into YouTube memberships. Once we get YouTube memberships, we're going to be able to go crazy with this because, man, I got this note sheet here full of ideas. about stuff that we're going to do, viable, sick stuff where we're going to start making like some of the best Magic content out there. And I'm really excited to share that with you all. So Timmy's saying 1,400 hours, that I can help. Yeah, that's what's up, baby. Love to see it. This is a rising water raises all ships kind of a situation, and we are just really excited to work with people who share our values and are, you know, excited about this format and getting Magic into the hands of more people at a lower cost. I think in particular right now with Magic experiencing a lot of basically like problems, you know, on the sort of on the side of WotC, and just not being like an accessible game. We've got a huge opportunity to change that. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go and find Witherbloom Apprentice so that we can talk about some of these green cards. Okay, here we are. Did that scene change work all right? It did. Man, OBS is such a morass of stuff. That's the only way to put it. There's so much that needs to be changed and worked on here when we're doing these streams here. So let's see, we can bump this up. Yeah, OBS, and the thing is, I struggle with there's one element of OBS in particular that I find really difficult, and that is, and this is just a good lesson for you all out there who are interested in doing content. There's a difference between copying something and pasting that object in a new scene as a reference object and a duplicate. And when I first started making my scenes, I didn't make that distinction. And so sometimes when I change something in a scene, it changes it in other scenes and it ruins it. Because every scene has to be specific. You've got to have everything fit correctly. You got to have space for your face. You got to have space for whatever sort of marketing or branding stuff you want to have. Like right here, you know, like finding all this spacing is really a challenge. It takes a lot of trial and error, and it's very easy to fuck things up. So anyways, moving on, let's talk about good green stuff and why you should play green. Right up at the top, we have one of the best green cards, and that is Return to Nature. 2 mana, instant speed. This is cDH playable. It's so flexible, right? Naturalize, upgraded with an exile target card from a graveyard clause. I have a friend of mine who really likes the card Break Ties. Break Ties is basically the same card, except it's 3 mana, and it has a 1 mana. What's it called? It's not channeling. Let me see if I can find it. It is Break Ties. It is called Reinforce. You can reinforce by discarding it for 1 white, and then you can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, but it has the same text and it's 1 more mana. And he oftentimes says, I will stop playing Break Ties when it stops finding targets. He is absolutely correct. Whether it's protecting your commander from a sweeper, exiling a combo card from a graveyard, destroying an oubliette or a pestilence, or destroying a Whispersilk, Cloak, Cranial Plating, Bonder's Ornament, this thing is just amazing. And Return to Nature is the same damn card for a little bit cheaper. Timmy says, I play it in $100 decks. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just so good. Jin Shooting Star saying, damn, I had so much talk about the dishes. I had so much to talk about, but the dishes were in a terrible shape. Well, that's okay, Jen. We got you now. You can ask your questions in chat and let me know what you want to talk about. I'm just kind of here. We got started early, which is actually kind of nice, starting at 5 o'clock, because normally it would be like approaching 8 right now. So we got plenty of time. We might even be able to get a game in. People in chat have the first opportunity to get in. Other green cards that are amazing. Also, very playable in other formats. Crop Rotation. Look at this dumb card. Crop Rotation is a common, and we have amazing hits for it. We have Bajuka Bog, we have Haunted Fengraf, Mortuary Mire, Witch's Cottage. You can gain life with Gingerbread Cabin. You can get Opal Palace, arguably one of the most broken lands in the whole format. Opal Palace, Study Hall, the ability to just like, it's so good. On top of that is that once you have your land in play, if you haven't yet gotten your Golgari Rot Farm, end step, Golgari, tutor for Golgari Rot Farm, bounce your Bojuka Bog to hand, untap Bojuka Bog the combo player, good to go. Amazing reason to be in green. And then Night Soil. This is a card that that I really wanted to play before, but it really wasn't the time for it. Back in like the combo summer of like, a year and a half ago or maybe a year ago, Night Soil was not a very good card because there weren't a lot of creatures in the graveyard. The things that you wanted to exile weren't creatures. Night Soil is amazing right now. This card is so dumb. It is graveyard hate and token generation at instant speed. Holy shit. Like, there are a lot of combos right now that require creatures that you bring back from the graveyard. This can put the kibosh on all sorts of powerful stuff. Whether it's first day of class combo, whether it's some sort of like looping where it's going into the graveyard, creatures going in and out of the graveyard, and then it's also just producing bodies. This is amazing at dumpstering the mid-range black decks that are floating out there in large quantities. Because look at what they like to do. They like to loop these cards. Slum Reaper, Chain Devil, Fleshbag Marauder. Sometimes Rot-Tide Garganta. They're looping these things over and over again with Tortured Existence. And with cards like Witch's Cottage, and Mortuary Mire, and Haunted Fengraf. Well look, Night Soil takes care of all of that for such a discounted price, and you get bodies out of it. Like, it's so good right now. We have some really compact win conditions, like Sprout Swarm. Decks in green that can make this work. This is just so good. You're just making an army of 1/1s by convoking your dudes every turn, and eventually you've got enough of them that you can start throwing them at people to gain the initiative. The Monarch blocking for it, it's instant speed. It's just really, really strong. Weather the Storm. This is one of the most powerful life gain. This is the most powerful life gain effect in the format other than Grey Merchant of Asphodel. And it's one of the best reasons to be in green right now. Especially if you're combo, you need to be playing this in your deck. The ability to recover your life total at instant speed off of other people's storm, just very good. Transitioning over here, we have Moment's Peace, the sort of partner in crime to Weather the Storm, which is allowing you to shut off combat for 2 turns. This is fundamentally, you just have to be playing this if you're doing like green-based combo stuff, because it's going to buy you the time to combo off. Right below that, we have Monvuli Acid Moss. I wouldn't call this one of the like hard staples of the format, but if you just treat this as a ramp spell, it allows you to destroy a land. And I'll tell you right now, with that Gretchen deck running around, the ability to destroy the land that is covered in auras is very, very good. It's also finding a forest card, which means that you can find Gingerbread Cabin for life gain, although it puts it into play tapped, so you actually can't do that. It needs to come into play untapped for you to make a token, the food token. But you can find the new, there's 2 new lands we have. So the Woodland Chasm is the one that's been there before. And then we have a Haunted Mire, the new tapped dual land. And you can just put it into play. So it's like 4 mana, put a land into play, which is expensive, but the destroy land part is so good. The other targets for Monvuli Acid Moss that are fantastic are an opposing Opal Palace, or an opposing Study Hall, or you could even be picking off something like where is it? Oh, I don't have it in this deck, but it's Forge of Heroes is another one that I think is going to see an uptick in play. So yeah, great card in green. We also have Lignify, one of the better removal spells in the format. It is sorcery speed aura, but in certain decks it's actually tutorable, which is kind of weird. And it just shuts down a creature. You just like don't get any abilities anymore. You have to find a way to kill your own creature to get it back. It's really good. And you can attack through it if you're an aggro deck. You can attack through it. They can block some of the damage, but they don't get their commander back. You have the amazing green ramp. This is just obvious. And then, of course, you have two really good Monarch Initiative creatures, which is Avenging Hunter, which is probably the best dragon in the format. Ironically, like we don't have a lot of dragons in the format. And then Entourage of Trest. So Jin Shooting Star says, are there any viable Monogreen cPDH decks? Yes, sir. Let me pull up really quick. The best example of a Monogreen cPDH deck is Temur Sabertooth. And Temur Sabertooth was an invention of my good friend Zach, also known as Brew Bear on Discord. This is his list that was formally inducted into the DBB, I want to say like almost a year ago. Temur Sabertooth is a very powerful deck. Temur Sabertooth basically is built on the principle that your commander never dies, and that everything that you play in the deck has an ETB. So whether you're ramping, or you're ramping, or you're ramping, or you're ramping, all of this is just like, you're just stripping lands out of your deck and putting them into play. You have unbelievable draw engines like Pygmy Kavu. Like black is kind of a big part of the meta right now. Like as we could see, you know, before when we were looking at the color, let's see. Yeah, color combos winner tab here. When we go back here, we can see that black is, you know, as its actual percentage of the games played is 42%. And a lot of these are going to be mid-range black decks. That's just going to be a big part of it, which means that they're going to have a lot of creatures. They're going to have a lot of creatures. So Pygmy Kavu, we go back to our deck tech here. Pygmy Kavu says draw a card for each black creature your opponents control. And then Temur Sabertooth is allowing you to flicker that in and out, basically. You've got the Multani's Acolyte, which can draw cards for us. We've got Silkweaver Elite, which draws cards. You just need to flicker something before, and then you get Revolt. And I say flicker, it's not really flickering. But it basically, if you've ever played against Temur Sabertooth, you'll quickly learn that basically they'll say, I have 20 mana. I'm going to do this now 5 times. Good? And everybody just says, fuck it. All right, whatever. Like, do your thing. And then they do that, right? And so the reach, or the Revolt part is very easy to trigger. Generous Stray, Elvish Visionary, Llanowar Visionary, all ways to draw. Powerful ramp package, great removal suite here. And I say great because bite and fight spells with Temur Sabertooth, it's indestructible. So, because that's one of the side benefits. And this is like cEDH playable too, right? Like this is a, you know, you see this in your Yeva decks with Temur Sabertooth. This is just an amazing creature. So, very good deck. And the other thing is when you're thinking about a deck, you want to be considering what is like the growth potential of this commander. Like what is the likelihood that I continue to get good new cards? ETB creatures are something we're just going to continue to get more of, like good ETB creatures. And so this is very much something that will continue to get new parts. And if we ever get an ETB common creature with a fight spell on it, this deck is going to go hard as fuck, dude. It's going to be crazy. So this is probably the best Monogreen cPDH deck. There's another one that I will bring up here too. I don't know that this one is considered, it's not on the DDB. Let me see if I can find it here in Gamekeeper. Gamekeeper. Find this list here. Copy that. Copy link. Maybe I can go. Okay, we might need to find it by exploring and go Gamekeeper, like that. I'll open it up. Lesser Crow. Gamekeeper. Okay. Do I follow Game Crow? That's probably the better question. Lesser Crow. No, I do. Okay, cool. So we'll go people you follow. Gamekeeper. Green Fog. I think he has a fun name for it. It's called GFD. Yeah, GFD. GFD. None? Decks you like? There it is. There we go. Jin Shooting Star saying, I need to try some online games. Of course. Jin, you should totally come play with us. The link to the tryhards is in the description of the video. We are getting about an average of a game a day in the tryhards, and usually it'll be like one or more, and then we'll have an off day or something. But it's an amazing place to get to play. Playing Magic for free using the Moxfield playtest function with OBS and Spell Table is such an incredible innovation, and it works really well. So I bring up Gamekeeper not because this is, you know, a meta deck or something I'm necessarily like recommending. It's just to say that there are mono green decks. This is a combo deck, and I will just say that that this is one of the most incredible primers I've ever read. It is thick. It is thick with how you combo off. Basically, the whole concept of the deck is that Gamekeeper, when it dies, you can exile it. If you do, you reveal cards until you hit Battlefield Scrounger, and then you put this onto the battlefield, and your whole deck, or most of your deck, into your graveyard. And then once you have it in the graveyard, you use cards that recycle these cards back from the graveyard, along with Battlefield Scrounger's ability, which is put 3 cards from your graveyard on the bottom of your library to prevent yourself from decking. You have some protection for your stuff, you have ways to ramp. So basically the game plan is to get to a certain amount of mana with a certain number of auras, and then you can start to do your thing. So there are ways to do that kind of a thing. I think also that mono green has another commander, and it is Baloth. Herd Baloth. And this deck right here is one that I've been making some changes to. You can see I have 108 cards right now, but Herd Baloth is kind of crazy. You know, it's a 5 mana commander as a 4/4. Whenever you put a +1/+1 counter on it, make a 4/4 beast creature token. Pretty good, pretty good. So we play all these different ways to basically put counters on our commander at instant speed, so that we can make a huge army of Baloths and Clap Cheeks. It has an infinite combo as well, involving, where is it? Ivy Lane Denizen. So if you have Ivy Lane Denizen in play and you cast Herd Baloth triggers the Ivy Lane Denizen. You put a +1/+1 counter on the Herd Baloth. You make a beast, which triggers Ivy Lane Denizen, which triggers Herd Baloth. Boom, boom, boom. You make infinite power and infinite 4/4 beast tokens, infinite power Herd Baloth. If you also have Wirewood Savage in play, which is tutorable with Wirewood Herald, then you also draw you draw as much of your deck as you want, because it says you may draw a card. So you basically can draw your whole deck, and then with your whole deck in your hand, you just win the game. You kill everybody in combat. So this is another mono green deck. I have not played this in a while. I haven't seen anybody else play it, but it's a powerful one for sure. And if it doesn't get interacted with that much, it'll definitely like run the table. So yeah, this is about all I had planned for our time together today. I do want to take a moment to thank everybody who's joined us today on this evening and hung out with us in chat and taken a look at this metadata. And if you're enjoying this content and you'd like to support what we're doing, take a moment and click the like button on the video to let us know that we're doing well. And also hit the subscribe button. We are really trying to reach that 1,000 subscribers. It's a really big pivot point for Clay and I in this channel, where we can start to not only like monetize our content, but also to unlock a lot of really special perks for people who want to become patrons. It's going to be a huge meta shift in the quality and the breadth of the content that we produce on this channel. So thank you all for your support there. Moving on into this next moment here. Who wants to play some cPDH? I think I've got energy in me for a single cPDH game. Can offer it up to the folks in chat for you all to get priority in on this game. Just maybe raise your hand, give a thumbs up in chat if that's what you want to do, and I'd be happy to post something. I'm going to take a brief break here, get some water, collect myself. Talking is thirsty stuff. It's almost midnight here and I need to sleep. I totally understand, Jen. Go to, let me show you guys my new, oh, that's not the one. This one. Yeah. Got that new fancy, fancy stream animation wizardry going on up in here. Okay. Oh. I'm gonna put out a little ping for the folks in the tryhards. See if anybody is looking to hang out. Got Jin. Well, thanks for the stream. We'll see you around, Papa. Jin, my friend, thank you as always. You're always in the stream and always a bright light. Appreciate you, and I hope you get some good sleep. I wonder if I might take the cue. Might take the cue and call it for the night. Kind of feels like the best thing to do, actually. Go Netflix and chill. You know, hang out. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna close things down for now. Big thank you to everyone who came and hung out today with Clay and I will look forward to seeing you either on the battlefield of the tryhards or in chat next time that we're here. We're gonna be taking a break on Thursday for American Thanksgiving. And after that, I want to give you all a sneak peek on some of the content that we got coming up here. Some really fun stuff. A number of you were there for the iconoclast Let's Build video. And unfortunately, we had a catastrophic stream failure. I had a bitrate problem that was just incredibly pernicious. I wasn't able to identify what it was for a while, but I got it figured out, it appears. I haven't had any notifications to the contrary. It seems like it's been smooth. So we are going to revisit that iconoclast build. We'll basically go through a little tuning session to get down to 100 cards because it's really close, but the last cuts are really painful. After that, we're going to have a Miara Numa Let's Brew. Miara Numa, this is an elf ball, mid-range elf ball, green-black Golgari deck that we're going to do. We're also going to be, I'm going to be doing a tag team Let's Brew with my friends Matt Edwards and with Dallas, who are going to be coming on to help me with Quintorius, our Boros Tormod impersonator, or maybe Tormod is the Quintorius impersonator, but Quincy is the 5-mana Boros commander. It's a 2/4. Every time a card leaves your graveyard, you make a 3/2 spirit, and then it has a lord effect that increases the power of spirits in play. That card is one that we're going to be working on. And yeah, so that's a little snapshot there. We also maybe taking a look at some point, this would be next week, so I'm not sure how relevant it'll be, but basically at the recent Hasbro article that came out where they downgraded Hasbro, where Bank of America downgraded Hasbro's stock from something like performing as expected to underperforming, and like pretty much like flamed them hard online for abusing the the trust and the popularity of the IP of the Magic brand under Wizards of the Coast, and essentially trying to kill its golden egg to eke more and more profit out of the same number of people instead of actually growing its player base. And if you know anything about me and Clay, we are all about trying to expand the accessibility of Magic to you and to your friends. And so I think I might talk about that in our next stream, but that next stream will be on Monday, unless I get a wild hair to do some live gameplay until then. So yeah, there's a little sneak peek there. Anything else I wanted to mention? Yeah, one last thing. If you are interested in doing a deck build of your own, where you have a commander that you want to work on with me, and you want to be featured on the channel in a video where we build something or tune something of yours, or if you're looking for any coaching or guidance, I do offer that service myself. So if you're interested in getting any of those things, reach out to me in DMs and we'll work something out. In the future, we'll have a much more clear and advertised structure for doing that. And in the current present, we just have kind of some stuff written down on paper. So cool. Well, thanks for your time today. Loved having you all here. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, or wherever else you are in the world, what time of day it is. Thank you so much. Connoisseurs of Fine Common Cardboard. This is PapaPauper out. Bye.